Hello guys, it's Taz101 Saga, and today we're going to have a look at the Czech M60 pack. I really wanted to do a review on this actually as soon as I've got it. I wasn't planning to, but to be honest, this is such a good bag for what you're paying. There's a lot of preppers and hikers that use this because for what you're paying, this is probably one of the best bags you could get for anything anywhere for what you're paying. It's absolutely ridiculously cheap, some of these go for. I didn't even pay two figures for this with postage. It was about £6. Now these are heavily based on the German 1944 rucksack. The main difference is these straps are all canvas. It's very similar to like the sort of material that Russian packs and Russian equipment is made of. It's all sort of the Cold War kind of canvas stuff. It's very good construction though. There's no thin shitty material on it. I would actually recommend that if you want a German 1944 rucksack, the reproductions of those can go from anywhere from about 70 to 100 quid depending on the maker. I know some reenactors that have actually converted these, and in doing so have saved a ton of money. They've converted these parts to leather. There's no leather on this apart from the Czech Y straps, which on mine I've sort of permanently affixed, but normally they'll either come with the bag or you have to buy them separately, depends on where you get it. Now the Y straps that are fitted to this are basically the standard post-war Czech Y straps. Now they're very very similar to the German ones from World War II. They're almost identical in the way they work, although you have different sort of attachment points. I would take them off if I could, but there's the German ones which are all leather. You got the top part here replaced with canvas, but in terms of this bottom bit it's exactly the same, and that's because it's designed to do pretty much the same thing. Now there's a guy who watches my channel, if you're watching James O'Leary, he has a good video on the Czech webbing setup, which is what these are actually designed for. These would not actually be worn fixed to the pack permanently as far as I know, because these are actually what hold your equipment up. In the same way you attach like a German A-frame to the World War II Y straps, you would attach this bag to the straps. But what I did is I crimped these parts inward. Try and get a better view of that actually. These buckles in, normally you can sort of slide these off and just attach them, but I kind of crimped those inwards to stop them coming off. One of the other differences that you'll find when you get the pack is down here. Normally you will have these two attached. Now I cut these off because I don't use this at all with the Czech webbing. Now these are normally attached at this point, and that's what would hold up your belt on the front. So you've got these main straps which go to the bag, and this is to hold up your equipment belt, which has all your ammunition pouches. At the time it would have been for the VZ58 assault rifle, and all your other equipment, your entrenching tool, your canteen, all that other stuff which will weigh you down. So that's to give you additional support. If you're not planning to use this with for belt supports, you might as well go and do the same. Just cut them off, because they do tend to do a lot of this, you know, jangling and winding themselves around each other bit of business when you're walking about in it. Go over the basic sort of construction of it. Now in here you just have a nice big open compartment, but it is a two-cell basically. You got this slightly smaller sort of compartment at the back. There's very little size difference really, but you can get a little bit more on the main one. Now that's excellent if you're packing say hard objects like metal objects or anything with pointy corners that would jab in your back otherwise. You can put any soft stuff like clothing, anything, canvas, cotton, whatever you want to stick in there. Then you can put all your uncomfortable stuff in there, so it gives you some padding on your back. The top is fastened by a drawstring. Yeah, very similar to sort of any sports bag or the Russian veshmishok, which has been around much longer than this thing. Just fastened like that, and you're getting more of this sort of shape, sort of more done up at the top when it's actually together. The way it differs from the veshmishok though, well there's a lot of differences, but the way this particular part is different is you actually have this flap as well, which keeps it sort of covered up. Although you will need to tie this up, because if you've got things in there, as you walk in it will have a tendency to sort of open itself. It's sort of these two-way sort of buckles. They don't actually have like a belt buckle as such. You just shove it through and then shove it through the bottom. And that's perfectly effective anyway. There's no way that they get loose. You have these two little smaller compartments on the front, these two pockets. I'll do a demonstration in a minute of how much stuff you can actually fit in this, although I'll do it in reverse, because it's actually quite surprising how much stuff you can fit in this bag. On the bottom here you've got these loops, which are also on the side. Kind of like a old tornister really, although it's, instead of being sort of around this way, it's kind of on the bottom. You can attach, if you slip leather straps through here, you can attach something there, something there, something there. So you've got an external carrying capacity as well as internal. So anything like you could fit a bedroll to that if you really wanted. Because these packs are used by the Czech military, as in they were originally issued to the Czech military, it was during the Cold War, so very little of them actually have any sort of real damage. They're all in very good shape because the vast majority of them have probably never actually seen any real combat at all. I've seen at least one video clip of someone in the current Ukraine civil war wearing one of these, so they do get about. And like I said at the start, a lot of preppers and hikers use these because they're so affordable. And they do sometimes turn up in combat zones of sort of poorer paramilitary or rebel groups and things like that. The only real markings you get on these is these numbers at the bottom here. Now I'm going to assume that this is a date. Well, there's 74 there. The adjustment buckles for the shoulder straps are right there. They're easily played around with, so you can do those up sort of tighter once you've got the stuff on. But that's it. That's pretty stuffed at the moment. I'm not going to say the two small compartments are totally full, but the main ones are. You could fit a few little tiny things in it, but I think this is enough to. This will be enough to prove the point. Right, so we'll start with the two small compartments. You could definitely get some more in this one, but more than enough to prove the point. These are UK large size men's socks. 3 of them in there. Now if you have less stuff in the main compartment, you can stuff. I actually got 6 in there earlier. There's plenty of capacity. Other side. That's 2 pretty large and thick cotton neck scarves. Main compartment. Just flip that open, grab each sides of that, boom, undo it. Right, let's see what we got. Alright, that there is a complete Soviet M69 uniform, large size. And we have complete German M43 uniform. These trousers are extra large, so they're very big, and the uniform is an extra large. So all of that basically came out of that main compartment. And that's a lot of stuff you can fit in a small bag that only costs you about £8 at absolute best. And that was what appealed. That's what really appealed about it to me. I mean, you're talking a bag that, when it's actually flat packed down like that, is only, we do it like a television, about 22 to 23 inches across, which is brilliant. I mean, you can actually fold this up if you really want. You put this in the middle, and you took off the straps, you could actually stuff that in a pretty small space, or an even larger bag. If you put a buckle around it, then, you know, it's just a nice sort of collapsible little thing, but it actually carries a hell of a lot of stuff. And the other plus is, if you really want, and you've got the skills and the material, you can modify it to look more like a German 1944 rucksack. In terms of the elements, this is canvas, but it's not, unless you treat it with Scotchgard or something like that, it's not strictly waterproof, although I have used this in some extremely heavy rain that I was out in for hours, and the whole thing changed colour from how wet it was. It was completely, you know, clogged with water. Now I had some stuff in it that wasn't strictly waterproof either, and I opened it up, and this inside flap and the whole inside was almost the same. It was only slightly damp. So although it's not strictly waterproof, you can't drop it in a load of water and not expect the inside to, because it's not watertight at all, of course, and the fabric isn't. but it will keep out even extremely heavy rain. Very, very small amount of water will even get inside it if you've got it done up tightly. But if you submerge it in water, or you're walking through rivers and stuff, then you're going to want a different bag. This isn't going to hold up for that sort of thing. But in terms of heavy rain, it's much, much better than you would think at keeping water out. So that might still be a con for some people. It depends on your needs, really. If you plan to use it as an airsoft bag, it goes very well with most camouflages, actually, as long as they're sort of not anything that's not sort of too modern. If you're doing like a Cold War sort of era, you know, anything up to the present day, if you're doing like an impression of a paramilitary or sort of not a first world sort of military, anything like that, which might have sort of the older sort of cheaper equipment. But being for airsoft use, you're not going to absolutely fill it up with stuff you would in a real world scenario, because it's just like a 1 or a 2 day event. So because of that, you can fit even more stuff in these, because you don't have the middle compartment being absolutely full up. So just an example how much you can get in there when the middle compartment doesn't have much in. And I have tried this with my standard amount of kit in the middle, and there's still enough room. You can fit 4 AK-74 mags in there. Or if you're using Stanag mags like for M4, M60 or whatever, which are anything sort of that isn't too curved, that will happily just hold 4. Not that you're going to take your bag off and reload from there, but just for the sake of argument, you know, you can fit a lot of stuff in there. And if you really want, you know, you can stuff, you know, pistols in these. This is a full-size SIG 226. That'll do up. There's a Walther P38, which is fairly big for a 9mm pistol. You know, you can stuff whatever in there. So, in conclusion, you just want a bag that isn't a lot of money, go for it. I use it all the time. Most of these are in absolutely brilliant nick because they've only been used for training or whatever, and haven't really seen any serious combat. So thanks for watching, guys. If you've got any questions or would like to see anything else in particular, please post it, and I'll see you next time.